সম্পদে বিপদে জীবনে মরণে সম্পদে বিপদে জীবনে মরণে দায়ে মম গেলা তুয়া ও পদ বড় মারো বিরাখবি জয়ী ইচ্ছা তোহারা নৃত্য দাস প্রতি জন্মা বিময়ে ইচ্ছা যদি তো ভকত গৃহে যদি জন্ম জনম যথা তুয়া দাস বহির্মুখ ব্রহ্ম জন্মে নাহি ভক্তি মুক্তি স্পৃহা বিহীন যে ভক্ত লভ হইতে তত সঙ্গ জনক ভকতি বিনোদ কহে শুনো কান, রাধানাথ তুমি আমারো পরাণ। রাধানাথ তুমি আমারো পরাণ। মানস দেহ গেহ যো কিছু অর্পিলু তুয়া পদে নন্দ কিশোর। মানস দেহ গেহ যো কিছু অর্পিলু তুয়া পদে নন্দ কিশোর। মানস দেহ গেহ হরে কৃষ্ণ হরে কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে হরে। Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Gaur Premanande, Hare Hare.
Oh, महाराज तो भी Hare Krishna. So we welcome all the devotees in today's session. And today we have with us His Holiness Kesava Bharati Das Goswami Maharaj. Just a brief introduction about Maharaj. In 1972, Maharaj had first meeting with His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And just in 1 year, in 1973, he was formally initiated by Srila Prabhupada. On 1st January 1979, Maharaj entered the renounced order of life, and since then he has dedicated his whole life for teaching the principles of Bhakti Yoga all over the world. He has traveled extensively in 8 countries, including England, Spain, Italy, France, Greece, India, and America. And currently, Maharaj is relishing the association of pastime places of Krishna. He is living in village of Govardhan, That is one of the most profound places of pilgrimage in India. But at the same time, he is traveling twice a year on lecture tours to Europe and United States. Also, he is contributing as an English editor and presently edits the books of the senior Sanskritist of ISKCON, His Grace Gopi Parandhan Prabhu, and also His Holiness Shivram Swami Maharaj. Since 1998, Maharaj has been involved in the publication of 8 authoritative books on the science of Bhakti Yoga, including the first English translation of the Gaudiya Vaishnava classic, Brihad Bhagavatamritam. As we all know, His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj has given seminar on Brihad Bhagavatamritam many times, and in 2017 in Ujjain at Srila Prabhupada Memorial Festival, he gave 5-day seminar on that. So in this way, Maharaj has been contributing in many ways in the ISKCON, and we are very grateful to him for his association. Let us express our gratitude to Maharaj by one time loudly chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. His Holiness Kesava Bharati Charu Swami Maharaj ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Yes, Maharaj.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Maharaj.
So that biography has to be updated a little bit. It's very old. I've edited 17 books, not 8. And the last book I edited was called Our Family Business by Vaisheshika Prabhu, who happens to be my best friend.
Sorry, Maharaj. Thank you for update.
Yeah, and I'm living in the UK. I'm 74 years old now, which should touch your hearts because His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj, who's one of my dearest friends, last time I saw him was about a year ago, almost exactly a year ago in Houston when I was staying there. And he graciously told me this. I said, Maharaj, I feel like I've blooped and I don't know it because I'm always by myself doing something. Now I'm doing audiobooks for the BBT. And he looked at me with this affectionate grin and he gave me a big hug. And he said, Maharaj, you deserve to be in Samadhi for all the service you've rendered for the last 48 years. So what can I say? I was in Mayapur in 1977 when Srila Prabhupada came to see Srila Prabhupada. I'm not sure whether it was the first time he met Prabhupada, but it was one of the first times because he came to Krishna consciousness in 1977. And I was there when Prabhupada gave him first and second initiation together, all together, both together. And very soon after that, in that same year, he gave him sannyas. So this is, I mean, not just special, it's unique. He never did that before. So there's obviously is and was a transcendental connection between them before they actually physically met, isn't it?
Yes.
I'm seeing some, I can only see 1, 2, 3, 4 faces. I guess there's more. Oh, I see.
80 participants are there.
80.
80, and there may be with one participant, many will be listening.
Well, first of all, let me say that I'm highly honored and privileged to be speaking to you all. Those of us who were separated from Srila Prabhupada permanently in terms of the physical vapu know what you're going through. There are others who know what you're going through, the disciples of Tamal Krishna Maharaj, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, and others who have left this world. So the first point that I want to make is that to feel what you're feeling is natural. I was looking, I joined Srila Bhakti Charu Maharaj later on in 1977 in Vrindavan. And I was there in the room with him and Tamal Krishna Maharaj and a few others, practically 24 hours a day. And I watched him serve Srila Prabhupada and felt the love that he had. I had a dream. I was staying in Kansas City at the time. I was leading a Radha Damodar bus. And in 1966, the decision was made that we had to stop traveling around to the temples because the brahmacharis were running into our buses and leaving the temples. So the temple presidents were a little upset. So we got the order, just stay in one place and develop preaching center and distribute books from there. So we did that. And in 1977, I was in Kansas City and I had a dream that Srila Prabhupada was going to leave. And in that dream, I was walking around a what you would call it, a track, like a track and field track. And I looked, there was many people going around and I was going around with them. And I looked through the crowd and I saw Yogeshwar. I'd never seen Yogeshwar before, my dear godbrother. And I went running over to him and we embraced and both of us were crying. And we understood that Prabhupada was going to leave. So then I made a vow at that moment to go to Vrindavan to be with Tamal Krishna Maharaj, who had taken up the service of being his secretary in the beginning of 1977. So anyway, I won't go through all the details, it would take too long, but I made a lot of arrangements and adjustments. And one new person came just at the right moment and gave a donation. And I asked him if it was okay if I used it to go and see my spiritual master, because I thought he was going to leave. And he said, of course. So Krishna arranged all these things. And on my way there, I prayed continuously for some kind of personal service. I joined in 1972, which to you will probably sound like a long time ago, but time was different then. I was only with Prabhupada for 5 years before he left. And by that time, the movement has expanded. He was asking us to take shelter of his senior disciples. I did spend some time with him, maybe 15 times, but not like you all spent time with your Guru Maharaj for so many years. Nobody, when Prabhupada left, no one could have been in the movement for more than 12 years, and no one could have been initiated more than 11 years, and most were initiated less than 11 years. So anyway, I made the arrangement and I was flying for the first time by myself all the way to India. And I prayed the whole way, please, Srila Prabhupada, if I could just have some personal service somehow or other. And I finally reached Vrindavan and I went and took bath and then I went into Prabhupada's room. And it was dark inside because they had the curtains closed. And it was also early in the morning. The sun hadn't risen, but it was not well lit because Prabhupada, his eyes were very sensitive to the light because of his condition. So I paid my obeisances and it took a few seconds for my eyes to adjust themselves. And then I saw Prabhupada for the first time in that condition, just before he left. And we've seen pictures, I'm sure you've seen pictures of Prabhupada just before he left. He was just couldn't move by himself. He needed assistance to move, and he was no longer getting up and going to the temple. This was about a month before he left. And in the room were two devotees. Can you guess who they were? Anybody? Let's try to guess. One of them was your Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj. The other one was Giriraj Maharaj. Giriraj Maharaj was massaging Prabhupada's lotus feet. And your Guru Maharaj was above the head of the bed, around his desk area, where he was arranging for medicines, right? And Tamal Krishna Maharaj was in the secretary's room, which is now the entrance into Prabhupada's quarters. You know, that little, you have to go up 2 steps, 3 steps, and then you enter in that little, you know, foyer kind of. Well, that was the secretary's room. And then you go into Prabhupada's room. So I was there and I was stunned. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. I didn't know what to do, seeing Prabhupada like that. And then within 2 minutes of me being there, Tamal Krishna Maharaj's voice came from the room and said, Bhakti Charu Maharaj. And then Bhakti Charu Maharaj left the room. And I was there with Prabhupada and with Giriraj Maharaj. Giriraj Maharaj was massaging Prabhupada's lotus feet. I tried to remember, I was saying prayers and chanting the Maha Mantra constantly for more than 35 hours, begging for personal service, right? And then, sure enough, I couldn't think, and then guess what happened? You can guess. Tamal Krishna Maharaj's voice came again. Giriraj Swami. Well, it was Giriraj. He wasn't a Swami at the time. And Giriraj looked at me and he went like this. And I looked behind me. I thought someone else had come into the room. Right? And he said, no, he couldn't talk because we were being quiet. Prabhupada was resting. He came over, he said, come here. I went over and he said, you have to massage Prabhupada's lotus feet. And I was just, what? And Prabhupada just fulfilled my desire. And the two persons who fulfilled that desire were Tamal Krishna Maharaj, first of all, because he didn't know I was there. He didn't know I was there. He called me. He called Bhakti Charu Maharaj out of the room. Then he called Bhakti Giriraj Maharaj in the room. And there I was. And he showed me what to do. And I massaged Prabhupada's lotus feet for about, I don't know, it seemed like forever, but I don't think it was more than 5-10 minutes. And then they came into the room and we had our greetings and tears were flowing from my eyes. And when I first met Bhakti Charu Maharaj in 1977, in 1977 in Mayapur, that was just a few months, it was 7 months. The first time I embraced him, he gave me this huge embrace. And it lasted, I thought, for a long time. And from that moment, I felt deep affection for him and we became close. And then, of course, we both went our ways. And after Srila Prabhupada left, so many things have happened since then. He became a world acharya, frankly, with thousands of disciples. And I went a kind of another way. I took up literary work and, eventually I started to initiate disciples, but I only have about, 40 disciples after all those years. And I know what it means to feel what you're feeling. And first point, the grief that you feel is natural. If you didn't feel it, you would not be normal. When I was looking at Prabhupada's face when he left this world, the room was filled up with devotees chanting. It sounded like thousands of devotees were chanting. I thought the demigods must be there. Devotees from all over the universe must be there to watch this event, Prabhupada's leaving this world. And finally, when it happened, and I looked at Prabhupada's face and I saw his lips move, Hare Krishna, and he left. I looked down at my body and the world became vacant. Seriously, the world became vacant. I looked down at my body and I realized everything about me, how I looked, how I dressed, how I thought, how I ate, how I did everything was completely different before I met Srila Prabhupada. I realized that the source of my existence had just departed and the world became vacant. And there were tears and there were so many things, but that grief is natural and you must allow it to go on. Don't artificially try to stop it. Don't let anybody tell you that it is not natural and you're not your body and the Vani is more important. It's all true. All these things are true. And eventually this feeling will transform as the grief gradually goes away by its own, by itself. It'll happen at different rates of time. It will happen differently with each one of you, but it will be replaced. And what it should be replaced by is the intense desire to fulfill the order of your spiritual master. So this is the life of our life. You know, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentaries are unique and universally accepted as being the most confidential, intimate, and sweet commentaries on Srimad Bhagavatam especially. He's like the second Rupa Goswami, even adding things that even Rupa Goswami didn't give us. So Prabhupada leaned heavily on his commentaries when he was compiling his own commentaries. But the one commentary that he stressed to us and repeated to us more than any other was the commentary on Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 41. Vyavasayatmika buddhir ekeha kurunandana bahushaka yanantascha buddhayo vyavasayanam. And his commentary in this verse was that the order of the spiritual master is the life and soul of the disciple. So because of this, because of that intimate relationship that we have spiritually, when the spiritual master departs physically, there's a tremendous feeling of vacancy. There's a tremendous grief that is, I don't think there's nothing else to compare it to. All I can say is that Prabhupada left us 43 years ago. It took time for the grief to subside, but when it did, his orders came flooding into my mind. And of course, I was very fortunate to be there And I guess what I'm trying to say is that there are no words, actually. There's hundreds and thousands of verses in the Vedas and the commentaries of the ocean, but there are no words. The outpouring of devotional sentiments that have come since your Guru Maharaj left, and for the amount of time that it's been since he left, although it seems like it's just a few days ago, but it seems like an eternity already. It's a tribute to his intimacy of his relationship with Srila Prabhupada and with Krishna. And we must plug in now. We must plug in. So many lessons he gave us. But there's no substitute for taking the instructions into your heart and then sincerely, according to your capacity, all of us have different capacities. We're not clones of our Guru Maharaj. We're not, all the same. Each one of us is an individual soul. In the spiritual world, we have individual relationships with Krishna. There we can have, and we will have, an opportunity to experience what it's like to be with someone intimately all the time. And he can be like that with everyone. There is no separation. When we join this movement, most of us join out of sentiment. We don't really understand. We don't really know what we're getting into. But the order of the spiritual master is our life and soul. And the more you take it up, the more the feeling of separation will be filled with a transcendental pleasure, a peace of mind and a transcendental pleasure that comes from remembrance and proactive following of the spiritual master, trying to please the spiritual master. Neophyte consciousness means, for me, and advanced devotional service means for my Guru Maharaj, for Krishna, for the other Vaishnavas, for eventually everyone who is a part and parcel of Krishna. Now we're living in an unprecedented time. Your Guru Maharaj left in an unprecedented way, at an unprecedented time. So the taste, this is what we have to focus our attention on. From now on, we have to focus on the taste for hearing and chanting and serving in separation. This is Lord Chaitanya's movement. This is what he said. I'm not a scholar in the same way that your Guru Maharaj is. I don't know thousands and thousands of verses, etc., etc. I know a few, but the service in separation is the highest taste. It's a higher taste than serving physically. Even in the spiritual world, Krishna increases and our love and our taste, and it can increase unlimitedly. There's no limit to how much that can increase. Krishna's given us everything. He's given us the Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhakti Charu Maharaj, translated all of Srila Prabhupada's books into Bengali. It's so ironic, huh? Prabhupada's a Bengali. And here's, Bhakti Charu Maharaj comes and he translates all of Prabhupada's books from English into Bengali. It's unique. It's unique. Everything about him was unique. But you have to want it. You have to want the association of your Guru Maharaj very strongly. And that's why we are put into this situation of separation. This is why Krishna, even left the gopis while he was dancing with them in the rasa dance. He left them just to increase to the maximum their feeling toward him. So the feelings you have towards him, the vacancy that your heart now is feeling, must be filled up with transcendental loving service to your Guru Maharaj and to those of you who are close to your Guru Maharaj. And because he was so adamant about this, I don't know if any of you read my addendum to my tribute. I wrote a tribute just the next day. I wrote a tribute. I think it was put onto Dandavats. I think it was put onto the GBC, group that are trying to bring us all together by sending out things to us. But I sent out an addendum to the first tribute because after I wrote that tribute, which was just very soon after he left, I remembered that he had written the foreword to the GBC foundational document called Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON. Are any of you familiar with that? I can't see many faces. I only see 6 at a time. How can I see everybody? Try. Whoops. Well, I see a lot more now. Can anyone raise your hand or somehow or other make some? Did you read this? Did he ever talk to you about this? No. Some of you know. Some of you yes. Yes, hand raised. I don't see everybody's faces. I can only see about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. I can only see about 30 at a time. Okay, so some of you know. I thought about this deeply, and I wrote an addendum. It's also there on the Dandavats. It's not there. The pages are going through so quickly now. So many offerings, so many things going on to that page of Dandavats. But you can find it. It's there in the somewhere in the archives or somewhere. And there, what I did was I reminded everyone that your Guru Maharaj was there in the inception of this transcendental literature that was written by Ravindra Swarup Prabhu. He was there at the inception. He was one of the ones that conceived of it himself and then followed it through to the end. I think they started it in 2006 and didn't come out until 2013. It went through many iterations. Many devotees were given the opportunity to read the drafts one after the other. And finally, the final came out. And Bhakti Charu Maharaj wrote the foreword. How many of you have read the foreword to that literature? I'm seeing a lot of blank faces. Get that book if you don't have it, download it, whatever, and read this. Read this. This will connect you with your Guru Maharaj in a very profound way because it is an expression of his ultimate desire for his Guru Maharaj. I mean, I'm still getting mostly blank looks because I know you're all in feelings of separation. Hare Krishna. I have no false expectations. I don't know what I can do. I'm just a little tiny jiva, going through the universe, trying to find my way. But I'm being inspired by Bhakti Charu Maharaj to read this to you. I don't know if you know this, but I'm into reading Prabhupada's books out loud to others. I have a Facebook page. It's called Daily Readings of Srila Prabhupada's Books. And I've been doing this for a long time. And the whole Srimad Bhagavatam, cover to cover, is there. Me reading for about, maybe 45 minutes to an hour. And then reflections and opportunities for devotees to ask questions and discuss for another 15 minutes to half an hour. And I've been doing that for years. And I can tell you honestly that it's become, the life of my life. And I know it's Bhakti Charu Maharaj's life, of his life, because when he came to see me, as I said before, a year ago, it was right around my birthday time. And he was giving programs that were prearranged. And he came to my room and I told him, Maharaj, I've become a hermit. I'm just by myself practically all the time. And I'm recording Prabhupada's books as audiobooks. We just recently finished the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and now it's being edited, the sound, and hopefully it will come out. The goal is for it to come out in Gaur Pranim next year. And I made a vow to record the Bhagavad Gita with purports, Krishna book, the whole Bhagavatam with purports. That's going to take in itself 3 or 4 years, maybe. And I'm hoping Brihad Bhagavatamrita, the whole thing, which will be a really good offering to all of you, because I know how attached he was to that book. I mentioned that in my tribute. This is the words of your Guru Maharaj. Can I have some kind of response to know whether I'm doing the right thing? I'm getting some nods.
Yes, Maharaj, devotees are feeling blessed to have your lecture, and they are
I'm
feeling
not
connected.
lecturing. I'm not
They are
lecturing.
Whatever
This is
you are
not a
speaking.
lecture. I'm not lecturing. I'm trying to get your association, and I'm trying to give your Guru Maharaj's association to you in such a way that it will uplift this feeling of vacancy and give you direction.
Some devotees are sending comments that, yes, Maharaj, we are feeling blessed to hear you.
Anyway,
The chat
I'm
box.
blessed to be with you, Hare Krishna.
They are
This is the
saying,
words
yeah.
of your Guru Maharaj, the foreword to this book. You should all get this book, and you should read this foreword by your Guru Maharaj regularly. It will inspire you. Here it goes. Foreword. Srila Prabhupada was undoubtedly the personality sent by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to fulfill his prediction. Quote, I have incarnated to inaugurate the Sankirtan movement and will deliver all the fallen souls of this world in every town and village of the world. The chanting of my Nam Sankirtan movement will be spread. Chaitanya Bhagavat, Ancha 4, 120 and 126. To understand Srila Prabhupada's unique role in Gaudiya perspective, we must journey back in time and gain historical insight of how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's plan to fulfill his prediction is gradually unfolding. Upon his return from Gaya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began his Nam Sankirtan mission. And in distributing Nam Prema, he and his associates did not consider who was a fit candidate and who was not, nor where such distribution should or should not take place. They made no conditions. Wherever they got the opportunity, the members of the Panchatattva distributed love of Godhead. Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi 7:23. The flood of this Nama Prema swelled in all directions and continued to benedict this world under the shelter of empowered preachers like the 6 Goswamis, Srinivasacharya, Narottam Das Thakur, and Shyamananda Prabhu. This is your Guru Maharaj speaking now. Unfortunately, after the disappearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and these empowered associates of his, a very dark age descended on the world of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. By Kali's influence, many upper sampradayas, deviant sects, totally eclipsed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pure presentation of Krishna consciousness with their unscrupulous materialistic doctrines and practices. And they did that in his name. Soon his teachings became to be identified with immorality, dogma, and antisocial elements. As a result, the cultured and educated people of Indian society developed a deep aversion to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This dark age continued for almost 250 years. In order to revive his Sankirtan movement and once again illuminate the Gaudiya sky, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then sent one of his intimate associates, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, to this world. Possessed of transcendental prowess, Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote tirelessly to defeat all unauthorized and deviant philosophies opposed to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's presentation of Krishna consciousness. Through his tireless and dedicated writing, he exposed all the adharmic philosophies of that time and once again revealed to the world Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's path of supreme auspiciousness and compassion. His Nam Sankirtan mission. These writings would later form the philosophical foundation of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's systematic foundation and institutionally based plan to set into motion fulfillment of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's prediction. Bhaktivinoda Thakur's rediscovery of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's birthplace and his giving of a blueprint in the form of his Namahata to realize Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's desire that Nam Sankirtan be propagated all over the world were a very clear and remarkable indication of his absolute conviction in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's words. However, he knew that this massive task of spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world would need the collective involvement of thousands of people for many generations. It could not and would not be just one man's work. A transcendental institution was of absolute necessity. His fervent prayers to Lord Jagannath were answered, and Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur appeared in this world as his son to give shape, practical shape, to his blueprint in the form of the Gaudiya mission. Within 15 short years, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur spread Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement all over India and attracted many luminaries of that time to assist him in his mission. 64 months dedicated to propagating Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings were established in India during this time. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur recognized the importance of his institution for continuing vigorous preaching after his departure from this world. He emphatically and very openly instructed his leading disciples that his Gaudiya mission be managed and maintained by a governing body. Surprisingly, he did not nominate anyone as his spiritual successor. Very soon, the institution, which had always been known for pure and bold preaching of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings, became famous for its embroiled fractions and court cases. Two contending factions fought for acharyaship, and many senior disciples left the institution in disgust. The unified entity of the Gaudiya mission as an all-India entity consisting of many centers, several presses, and thousands of devotees working cooperatively under unified leadership ceased to exist. Illusions of proprietorship and prestige eclipsed Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's order, and his mission to develop a worldwide movement for propagating Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings came to a grinding halt. Our Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, was heartbroken by this tragic turn of events. But it was very evident from his activities that he perfectly understood his spiritual master's heart and mission. One, as soon as a few New York followers took his message to heart, he legally incorporated his institution. He named it the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, and also legally stated its 7 purposes. This all happened as early as 1966. To continue Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission and secure ISKCON's transcendental legacy, Srila Prabhupada very systematically established the governing body, commission, and very emphatically instructed his senior followers, don't make the same mistake that my godbrothers made after my Guru Maharaj's disappearance. Manage the society collectively through the GBC. 3, to secure ISKCON as a transcendental mission, with a strong philosophical and culture base, he tirelessly and meticulously translated and commented on the most important and sublime of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings in the form of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Chaitanya Charitamrita. And he emphatically said that his books are the basis of his Krishna consciousness movement and the institution of ISKCON. And like his Guru Maharaj, he did not name or select a successor for his ISKCON. Rather, he wanted his disciples to collectively manage the institution through a governing body. When I was Srila Prabhupada's personal servant, I noted many times that he would insist that on any printed material, the title Founder Acharya and his full name be printed under the society's name of ISKCON. I was very immature and inexperienced at that time and often wondered, Srila Prabhupada is such a humble and exalted Vaishnava. Why is he so persistently insisting on this? I did not ever openly express this to Srila Prabhupada, but it continued to perplex me. But slowly, by his divine grace, in due course of time, I began to understand his intent. The phrase Founder Acharya is not just a title, but a transcendental system intended to protect, preserve, and give longevity to an institution dedicated to the mass liberation of conditioned souls all over the world in this dark, abysmal age of Kali. Great Vaishnava stalwarts like Sri Madhvacharya and Sri Ramanujacharya successfully implemented this system. Obviously, full implementation of this system in ISKCON is crucial to the successful fulfillment of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's prediction. I shared this realization with a number of my senior godbrothers, and I was enlivened to find that Srila Prabhupada had blessed them with the same insight. Then, in 2006, the GBC body formed various committees to plan and achieve different strategic objectives. One such committee is the Srila Prabhupada Position Committee, SPPC, whose mission is to assist the existing efforts and develop new initiatives to eternally establish Srila Prabhupada as the founder Acharya of ISKCON and the preeminent Shiksha Guru for all ISKCON devotees. This book is an initiative of the SPPC. His Grace Ravindra Sarup Prabhu, who undoubtedly is undoubtedly one of ISKCON's most brilliant thinkers and writers, wrote the book, and all the GBC members and many senior devotees have seriously and diligently scrutinized it. This book is thoroughly researched and based on Shastra and historical facts. It is academic in nature, and provides a foundation on which we can build a holistic culture of education meant to firmly and very practically establish Srila Prabhupada's position as the founder Acharya of ISKCON. Of course, pure Krishna consciousness acknowledges no technique, and it is in this mood that we offered this publication to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srila Prabhupada, and all his devotees. Kindly note that this book is not meant for casual reading, but for implementation. If we do that, our personal and collective relationships with Srila Prabhupada will flourish unlimitedly, and we will come to very practical understanding that our beloved founder Acharya is not frozen in time. He is an eternal assistant of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's divine flood of compassion and Krishna Prema. And his heart melts and flows without restriction or impediment to anyone and everyone who shows the slightest interest in his teachings and the Nam Sankirtan mission. We humbly seek your kind and active support in implementing the next important step in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's plan to flood the entire world with Krishna Prema, to firmly and very practically establish Srila Prabhupada as the founder Acharya of ISKCON for all time. Thank you very much. Yours in the service of Srila Prabhupada, Bhakti Charu Swami, Vrindavan, India, November 2013. And there you have your marching orders. These are your marching orders, particularly to those of you who are initiated disciples. We are all Srila Prabhupada's Shiksha disciples. I am his Diksha and his Shiksha disciple. Your Guru Maharaj was my godbrother, dearest godbrother, and also a Shiksha guru for me. And I've taken the role of helping many of my godbrother's disciples for one reason or another. And still, here I sit, locked down, 74 years old, not allowed legally to leave the house. Imagine. Of course, you're all experiencing some degree of it wherever you are. I'm supposing some of you are in India, I'm noticing, maybe some in other countries. But we're living through an unprecedented challenge where even our temples are being forced to close. And the normal activities we do with one another in front of the deities, the kirtans, the festivals, the japa, the hearing of Bhagavatam together, it's being, wrenched from us. But here we are together. I don't know how many of them there you are. There are at least 80. I mean, every day I have, well, not every day, but I have 2,150 followers of my daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books. I've dedicated my life to doing this for the rest of my life. And those Facebook live readings are archived on the page, Daily Readings of Srila Prabhupada's books. And they're also put onto the YouTube under the same channel title, Daily Readings of Srila Prabhupada's books. And there you can find the whole Srimad Bhagavatam. Maybe with a few verses left, I have to repeat them because of problems with connection or something. But anyway, they're there. And the Bhagavad Gita is there, every single verse, read out loud by me, and then discussed with various devotees who were there live for contemplation. And now I'm doing Chaitanya Charitamrita. I'm just finishing the 17th chapter, the last chapter of the Adi Lila. And soon I will have the whole Chaitanya Charitamrita also on those websites. The database, the Facebook, if it's still in existence by that time, Hare Krishna, who knows what's going on now, it's so crazy. And YouTube. Each day, the hearing is put onto the YouTube, And so all these readings and discussions are there available to you, whoever wants to plug in. I believe with the whole of my heart that this writing that Bhakti Charu Maharaj did for the forward of this book is maybe one of the most important things he did for the movement. It was so inspired. I don't know if you heard it. I don't know how you heard it. You're all overwhelmed with feelings of separation, and it may be hard to hear. I don't know. But this is not for casual reading. And he said himself, it's not for casual reading. It's for implementation. None of Prabhupada's books are for casual reading. They're for implementation. If you take the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita from Srila Prabhupada directly, under the guidance of your spiritual master and all of his unlimited, I don't even know how many lectures he gave and how much facility you have to be with him. But I'll tell you one last story before I have to go. One last story. Srila Prabhupada was returning to Mayapur. I don't remember what year it was, but he was passing by on Bhaktisiddhanta Road on his way to our Mayapur, well, it's becoming a city now. And he happened to be going on the appearance day of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, right? So he had his driver slow down the car, and he offered his obeisances to his spiritual master through the window as the car slowed down to almost a halt. And then he continued on. So there was one brahmachari sitting there by the side of the road, and he watched what happened. And he went to his authority, the head of the mat, and he started to criticize Srila Prabhupada. Just see, it's his appearance day of his spiritual master, and all he could do was slow the car down and do this like this pranams. Why didn't he come in? Why did it? So naturally, this story got back to guess who? To our dear Srila Prabhupada. And when he heard it, you know how he reacted? With a big grin. He smiled. And he said, don't they know? Don't they know that Srila Bhakti Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada was sitting right next to me in the car when I drove by? Don't they know that? No, they don't know that because they think their spiritual master is left, but he is never left. I feel his presence every moment because he took the mission of his spiritual master so seriously, uniquely. And his spiritual master came into his presence constantly for the whole time he was with us. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
This is my duty to inform you that the feelings I feel for Bhakti Charu Maharaj are also deep and lasting. But when I read this, just after he left, I heard him speaking to all of us. How you can get relief from that feeling of separation. You take the instructions that he has given into the core of your heart, and you try your best according to your capacity. And nobody has the capacity that he had. There's never been a devotee in our movement who got that kind of outpouring of devotion from everyone for that period of time. Never. Everybody told him, don't go on that flight. Don't go there. America's dangerous now. I know myself. I made a vow. I'm not going back there until there's a vaccine or something, or I can know that it's safe. I'm also aged and vulnerable. But he did that, and when I was told by a couple of his disciples that he chastised his disciples when they said, Maharaj, you can't do this, you can't go there. He said, who's the guru here? Who's the guru here? Are you my guru or I'm your guru? And then they kind of, yes, Maharaj. He says, it's my duty. I'm a leader. I have to do this. They asked me to come and I'm going. And from what I understand, you know, he talked about Prabhupada's leaving not long before he left. And when he went to the hospital, he took the Gita. He took a number of volumes of Prabhupada's books with him. He was with his spiritual master. I guarantee you, he was with him to the last moment, and he's still with him. And every one of us has that right, has that privilege, has that duty and by taking this seriously, that void that you feel in your hearts now, that which is natural, I'm not trying to artificially pump you up or, you know, cheer you up or anything like this. I know from personal experience, you have to go through this grieving period, but you have to take service in separation from him as the way forward. Help him, help Srila Prabhupada and all of us together to spread this Krishna consciousness movement. Be active. Be proactive. Don't be reactive. Distribute Prabhupada's books. Distribute the holy name. Relieve the suffering of the conditioned souls right now on the earth. Everyone is suffering from this pandemic. Everyone's life has become turned upside down. There's so many people who are less fortunate than us. So many. Even in America, there are large numbers of people who can't even get food on the table. They're queuing up in long lines just to get help for food in America, the most opulent country in the world. So I have to leave you now because here it's 4:42 in the afternoon and I have to do something. Then I have to do my reading because I made my vow. I read every day between 7:15 in the evening, our time. And it's like I said, it's recorded. We can be together. You can be together with your spiritual masters, hearing his lectures and his beautiful kirtans whenever you want. You have Srila Prabhupada's archives of original recordings. We have enough to we have literally tens of thousands of pages of books to delve into, to become absorbed in, to help each other implement the desires of Srila Bhakti Charu Maharaj, of Srila Prabhupada. Make those desires one with us. Make the desire of Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu especially one in your mind. Make your mind one with him out of interest, out of agreement. This is how you get close to your Guru Maharaj, even though he's physically not present. You will feel closer to him than you ever could imagine. This is the source of our inspiration. And I leave you with that.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Maharaj.
This is above anything external you can do. Each one of us has a taste for doing things. Do the things that you have a taste for and do them with increased perseverance, with increased enthusiasm. And you will get all help from within your heart. Guaranteed. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, especially for reading the foreword written by our Guru Maharaj and for reminding us of invaluable instructions he has given to all of us. We are very grateful to Your Holiness for guiding us. Your words were so soothing for us, as Your Holiness mentioned, that this grief we are experiencing now, it will be replaced with the intense desire to serve our spiritual master and Srila Prabhupada as we take up the order. This feeling of separation will be replaced with transcendental pleasure. So
Yes.
we beg for your blessings so that we can uh, understand his mood and accept his teachings wholeheartedly and make them our life's only goal. And we want to express our heartfelt gratitude to Your Holiness for your wonderful guidance. It was very helpful for us. Let us express our gratitude to Maharaj by loudly chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra with raised hands. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama Rama,
Rama Rama,
Hare Hare.
His Holiness Kesava Bharati Swami Maharaj
All
ki.
glories to His divine grace, Srila Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj. All glories to His divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. All glories to all the sincere followers of theirs. Hare Krishna. I offer myself to you. I'm there every day. I'm the only person on this planet who's reading Prabhupada's books out loud, straight through, cover to cover, every day. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books. Your spiritual master told me personally, face to face, it's samadhi. So join us in samadhi whenever you like. YouTube, Facebook, daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much.